Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today, we are introducing a new concept to the web development world. We're innovating, we're making the world one step better. And by introducing the concept of client-side, server-side rendering. And you might say, what the heck are you talking about? And I'd be like, that's a reasonable response, right? Let's step back a little bit. What are we working on actually? I'm making this website to kind of track what I'm eating over time, right? So the idea here is that, we have some database somewhere and we punch ingredients and like their attributes into this database, right? So like maybe I ate some chickpeas. Here's all the stuff that I wrote down about chickpeas, and chickpeas can be put in some dishes. Like maybe we had some like chickpea smash, right? And when we like make chickpea smash, we measure out all of these ingredients and we get like stats about these things that we can like use to make decisions about like, am I getting scurvy? Have I eaten like 4 days of food today, all that type of stuff. Maybe we can also track like ingredients over time and like generate shopping lists, whatever, right? That's not really important. What is important here is that there's a lot of like dynamic content on these pages, right? Because like the client, when I like generate the HTML, doesn't really know what is in the database on the server, right? So he makes like some request to the server. He goes, hey server, could you give me a list of all the ingredients? And the server will return a list of all those ingredients. I think if I go to like ingredients, right, here's like a JSON blob of all our ingredients, and then the JavaScript in this page goes and he like walks this blob of JSON and turns it into a bunch of hyperlinks on this site, right? Hype. Now, I hate writing JavaScript. I'll say it, it sucks, and we have way too fucking much, right? If I do like a word count dash lines, or like number of lines by, star JavaScript, that's 2,000 lines of JavaScript. That's 2,000 more lines of JavaScript than I ever want to write in my fucking life. I hate this shit, dude. Because, like in my mind, I like typed languages. I like the compiler telling me when I've done something wrong. I'm tired of, mistyping a function name and not finding out till I run the code and it like throws an exception. You might say, Mick, why don't you just write a different language and compile it to JavaScript? Yeah, that's an option, but I think that's like, I don't like that. What I really want is I want to use something that's like, supported by the browser. And so we have JavaScript, the one language, but there's also a couple other languages, I guess, right? There's technically like you can execute GLSL to run stuff on the GPU, and you can execute WASM to run stuff that's like kind of been compiled into something that is more representative of, I guess we should say, something that is easily JITted into native assembly, but in like in a sandbox way, right? So we have like this like thing, WASM, you can like crunch some numbers in there, right? That's kind of what it's built for, is crunching some numbers. And you can like compile C, you can compile Zig, you can compile Rust, whatever fucking language you want, you can like turn that into WASM. Hype. The problem is that like what we're doing in this page in JavaScript is a lot of like DOM manipulation, right? Like the majority of this code is probably along the lines of, what is this? It's like index JavaScript, right? I guess this is like a bad example because this is like a short page, but it's also a good example because it's like one of the most simple pages in the site, right? But basically all this thing is doing is he's like walking some JSON that he got from the server, generating some links out of those things, and sticking them in the DOM. And like, the only way that we can programmatically put stuff in the DOM is through JavaScript. WASM isn't really built for that, right? So we're kind of like tied to JavaScript, kind of. Let's put a pin in that for a second, and let's talk about something else. You guys remember like a year ago, everybody was like losing their fucking minds about this thing, HTMX? HTMX was this idea, I think it's been around for a long time, but it kind of had like a resurgence recently, and everyone's like, we love HTMX because we hate running JavaScript. Hey, that's my problem. I hate running JavaScript, right? And like, basically what they do is they kind of say like, I'm going to define some like attributes that you can put on some nodes, right? So like this button has a thing called hxget. And what happens is when you click this button, the HTMX library will go, okay, I'll like issue a get call to like this URL, and this URL will return a bunch of new HTML. And all I have to do is like take like the shit that it gave me and just like shove it right into the DOM, right? Hype. So that's like kind of cool. It kind of solves the problem where I hate writing JavaScript, but it kind of introduces a new problem where like every single thing you do goes through the server. I don't like that. It seems like that's like the wrong paradigm. I'm sure it's correct in a lot of scenarios, but in like I feel like UI manipulation is like a very local to me thing. And the server should have no idea what I'm doing. I like the idea that the server is just like, here's some data, and I'm like, okay, I will present that data in some way on the client, right? And so here's where we get a little brain blast. We go, wow, new idea. What if we do this same thing, but instead of having the server generate this HTML, we can like crunch some text in some WASM, basically like feed WASM the data that the server gave us in a JSON blob, and then have the WASM thing give us back a chunk of HTML, and we put that wherever we want to put it. That seems kind of nice. It's kind of like the best of all worlds, right? So we have like minimal JavaScript. The JavaScript is just there to stitch the like calls to the server into the WASM blob. The WASM blob generates all the stuff for us, and then we just like we for the most part, once like the JavaScript library is done that does the stitching, we can do something along the lines of, hey, like get something from the server, add a new attribute that's like feed that into some WASM call, and then we have like some action that WASM call is going to request that we do, and we just like do that thing. I think that that could work and could get us to the point where basically per page we're writing very little JavaScript, like very little, and that's perfect because I hate writing JavaScript. So that's kind of the idea. I haven't really thought about this very hard at all, but like I think we'll just kind of run it and see what happens. I think what I want to do is I want to just like replace this ingredients page, see where that goes, try to do it in a way that's like kind of generic so that like in future pages we don't have to do that much extra stuff. See, you know, once that's done, we can try to do something more complex. Maybe replace one of the ingredient pages that has like, you know, fields that send stuff to the server and like delete buttons and all that stuff. You know, search boxes. We'll just kind of see like where it goes. We'll see where it goes. Yeah. Let's do something. Okay. So step 1 is trying to automatically load some sort of WASM blob based off of some attribute, right? That's kind of like the HTMX way, right? You write some like you write some normal HTML, and on there you have, you know, attributes that like request some data from somewhere. And then like I think they have also like targets, right? That say like this is where I'm going to put that stuff. So let's start there. Try to build something along those lines. I don't really know what that's going to look like. But let's look at like test HTML. Okay, so we have set up a Zig WASM environment very recently. Maybe a couple days ago in a video about doing some image resampling in WASM land. So I don't want to really go over like all of that stuff again. So we'll just kind of like give you the quick rundown. We have in Zigland a way to build a WASM executable. Zig just like has like a target that you can make, right? You can say like, hey, please build this stuff for WASM. It generates a WASM module that has internally managed memory. So all pointers in Zig will point to this block of memory that Zig has requested that the browser give it. Then we compile that thing, and in our JavaScript somewhere, we call instantiate streaming, we fetch the blob of WASM from the server, and we give him maybe like a callback to print some stuff, right, so that he can do some logging inside him, and then we call like add. And if we look at this, we have add result 3 printed from WASM land. If we go to like test, WASM test.zig, we have a little add function, and he just calls print internal and returns the add. Sick. Okay. So this print internal will like jump over to the callback. We also have like a panic handler so that, you know, we get like when we really break stuff, Zig like knows how to like turn that into a nice little backtrace and stuff. So I guess what we want to do is we need to like create like an external function that could be called from JavaScript that does something. Maybe not. Maybe all we have to do right now is find a way to kind of like automatically instantiate the WASM module, right? So maybe per page we have a WASM module that holds like state for the page and is the generator for this guy. And I guess that kind of means that we could have like a script called like client-side server-side rendering. Client-side server-side rendering.js. And this is probably included by here, right? And I don't really know. Can you like pass attributes to a script load? Is that like a thing you could do? Because if you could, then you could say here, like WASM, like URL equals this, right? And that kind of, this means that we have like this generic way to load any WASM module that's specific per page. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know if that's like an option. Can you like load like JavaScript read attribute from script tag? Is that like a thing you can do? Yeah, this guy's asking. I like that. There is this guy. You can do current script to get the script element, and then you can just ask. So we could do something like, in client-side SSR, we do something like this, where we go like, first let's make sure we're calling this function. Hi, mom. And then we go back here. No hi, mom. Interesting. What about here? Oh, maybe I forgot to save. That's pretty classic. No. Console log hi, mom. Okay, so we see this one. We're not seeing this one. Probably because like we have multiple people assigning to window on load. That would be my guess. So maybe we're supposed to do like window add event listener on like load and throw an init in here or something. There we go. So we're back. We have this shit running. Init needs that. I don't think so. Okay. So now when the thing loads, we call this guy, and he's going to do something like called document current script, they said. So let's look at this guy. Null. Let's look at this guy. Current script property. Returns the script element whose script is currently being processed and isn't a JavaScript module. It is important to note this will not reference the script element if the code in the script is being called as a callback or event handler. It will only reference the element while it is initially being processed. Okay, so this has to go here, not in the async function. Okay, so that's good. So that means that we can get the WASM URL here, right? Document current script get attribute WASM, what do we call it? URL. Okay. And then can we console log WASM URL here? That's big for us. Huge. LG, thanks for the tier 1. Much appreciated. Okay, so let's go back to this guy and, we'll make, our little, this thing, we'll pull in, our print callback, as well as probably just like everything, to be honest. We probably want almost everything from here. So we want an import object that hooks up the print callback, as well as we want to instantiate this thing, but with the WASM URL here. And let's just call add here to make sure that everything's working correctly. Let's ditch this test.js, fuck that thing. And we do see add result 3, which is really good. So we've got kind of a custom URL that we are loading that has like some capabilities. Okay, cool. So say we want to make this ingredients page. What does this thing do? We can start with the header here. So he has a header. Maybe this is kind of hard-coded. That's probably hard-coded. Maybe we don't have to think about that. Maybe not. We'll see. But let's start with getting the list of ingredients and figuring out how to do something with that. So test HTML. We start with like a little, H2, H1 ingredients. And in here, I assume it's going to be like, we have some div with, CSSR, client-side, server-side render, get. We're going to get something from the server. So probably from like ingredients, right? And, when we get that thing, we are going to be like CSSR callback or like processor generator. CSSR generate maybe is like a function in the WASM blob. So we'll say like this is called like get like ingredients. Make ingredients links or something. Right? That seems kind of reasonable. Just support Sphero UI to be able to render the canvas and avoid HTML altogether. I'll do dog food. I think that's bad. I think that, like, not that it matters, but, well, it does matter, but not, like, in the way, not, like, very real, in a real way. It, like, removes all support for, like, accessibility, which is kind of, like, lame, right? Rendering everything as pictures in a canvas is, like, not as good as using, like, semantically correct HTML, but if you're the only user who cares, yeah, that's why I'm saying it doesn't actually matter. But I like this idea, so we're gonna do this, okay? You can't stop me. I do like the idea of having my GUI library be able to generate HTML. Okay. So this seems reasonable, right? So we're gonna say, get me some stuff from here and feed it into this guy. And that means that we kind of have to have like a format for how to feed stuff in here, right? So WebAssembly model is that WebAssembly by default is like super fucking sandboxed, right? He can't talk to the outside world. But he can allocate memory. And so he can say, I have a block of memory that we could like feed the response of ingredients into. So maybe what we do is we kind of have like a generic, like, we can kind of say that all WASM functions that we make, wait, hold on. WASM test. So we're gonna have like a function here. What do we call it? Make ingredient links. And presumably this is gonna return some sort of like, for now we'll like have it return some HTML. But I presume that there might be some more like advanced message that we want to return from this thing. But for now we'll do this. And we'll say that he also takes in, you know, this, right? And so in order for JavaScript to be able to feed us as input, it has to be like placed into our available memory. So maybe we'll just have like buffer. Like input buffer. And this is just going to be like, you know, this. And maybe we have something like, let me think for a second. We're going to have some function that we have to give him to like allocate input buffer. Okay? And then we can just put stuff in the input buffer and then put the link to that here. Would be better to just make a shim around the DOM APIs and then generate that markup all in Zig. I think that's harder. I think. But maybe not. I'd like to try it this way. Okay. So maybe this guy's actually like this. And then we can say like, if input buffer is not equal to null, we free him. Okay. Otherwise, and then we just like allocate. Okay. Yeah. And this can't return an error, but he can return. I guess he doesn't have to return anything. Okay, so we do this. Input buffer is equal to this. Catch return. Right? There's like the failure case here is that the input buffer is still null after, and we'll notice that. What doesn't he like here? What is he mad at? What the fuck? Input buffer. Expected type this. Found that. Found. Oh, I see. Like this. We have to give him a pointer, and we just track the length ourselves, which means that we have to track the length on our own. Var input buffer when is a U size equals 0, and then this guy gets like, maybe this guy just is stored like this, and we have a getter for him instead. Get input buffer, who returns the U8. Yeah. And he just returns, input buffer pointer. Boom. That seems reasonable. Okay. This, I think, needs to be a multi-element pointer. Nice. And then here, we can just unconditionally free this guy now, because free doesn't do anything on zero-length pointers. And then we just do this like this. Boom. Yeah, okay. This is not allowed. That's true. So this has to be like this. Okay. And then this also has to be like this. Which is interesting. I guess that means we have to like null terminate our output. I guess. Okay. Okay, and can we do this and say like, hello world here? Hello from WASM. Okay. We're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. So, in client-side, server-side rendering, we need to like walk all attributes. So we're probably gonna like, for now, do something like document query selector all looking for an attribute, which I'm sure is doable. Query selector attribute. I'm sure that's possible. Square find base off attribute. Here we go. So you put just square brackets. So we can say like client side server side render get. Maybe? And then can we go like for const elem of elems print elem console log elem. Okay, so fingers crossed. That's really good. So we did find this thing. WASM CSSSR. What a beautiful acronym. Yeah, it's mwah. Okay, so we have this guy, and we should be able to be like elem get attribute CSSSR get, and this is this, and then we're gonna do like some sort of fetch on this thing, right? Then we are going to take the response, and we're gonna like response body. Then we are going to feed that into like the WASM target, right? So this is elem get attribute, whatever the fuck we called it, CSSR generate. I'm gonna try to put type 2 S's here every single time. So this is gonna be like, first we get the body length here. Let's just start here. Console log body length. Let's just make sure that we've kind of hooked everything up, right? Response body is not a function. Get body response JSON. I thought that's what it was. There's JSON, but what if it's not JSON? I don't really want to, guarantee that it's JSON. bytes, blob. What's the difference between blob and bytes? Reads it into a uint data array? That sounds great. That sounds great. Okay, so we got this thing, and he is 6,000 bytes long, which is perfect. We take that guy, and we say, wasm obj instance exports. What did we say this thing was called? Wasm test. Allocate input buffer of body length. Boom. Then we say wasm obj instance exports at wasm target. We call this guy with, I guess we have to copy this stuff in, which we did before. I can't remember what that was. It's like uint, like data view, maybe? There was a way to like, oh, I think it was set. I think that's what it was. So we have like, input buffer is this guy, right? And it's instance exports. What would we call it? It was get input buffer. This will give us a pointer in WASM space. So we need to like turn that into something that we can work with in JavaScript, which I believe is like, we go instance exports memory buffer. Right, so this is the memory buffer, and we like turn this into a uint8 array, probably. But with like, this is all WASM memory, so we want to use like the input buffer offset as well as the length. I believe it's something along these lines. Something like this. Let's check. MDN uint8 array. I'm pretty sure that's right, but you never know. Constructor. Buffer byte offset length. Yes. Okay, cool. So we should be able to like input buffer set body. And then call this guy. We might not even have to call him, to be honest. We could probably just like, he knows that he's working on the input buffer. So maybe we just fucking run it like this. And can we log the response? Let's see what comes out of that. Okay. Zig build. And refresh. No, refresh here. Okay, so this is really good. We are now getting into the make ingredient links function. We're saying hello from WASM here. And we're getting a null response, which is hype. Okay. So the question is now, what does this do? Surely this has to return like some HTML, right? And this HTML is presumably going to be like, how do we say this? Like generated dynamically based off the content of the input buffer, right? So I guess the first thing we have to do is parse the input buffer. So we could probably reuse some type definitions from the output of this guy. That's kind of one of the benefits here. So we should be able to be like, let's import API Zig. And I think actually the definitions for these guys are actually in the database Zig, which is probably not really great. These things are using like runtime segmented lists, which is not really necessary on parsing side. So maybe we don't actually copy the types. Maybe. For now, I'm going to duplicate them. I'll think about what I actually want to do about this later. But let's do this for now. Okay, so we have some ingredient, and we can look at like which part of this thing we care about for now. When we're generating links, it's just probably like the name and the ID. So link name is like this. Oh, I think we actually also care about fully entered to color the link. Okay, so what we should be able to do is be like std JSON parse from slice, and we're parsing a list of ingredients. Okay, what else does this guy take? He takes an allocator, so std heap wasm allocator. Defer parse d init. Let's kind of make this a function here that can fail now. And we'll make this guy null terminated so that it can be figured out external, like we can just return a pointer, probably. We'll figure that out. And let me think now. So this all goes in here now. And now this guy can write try. This can go like make ingredient links, like try make ingredient links, I guess, is the like naming convention we can use here. And this is just return this catch return null. Or I guess it's just catch null. Boom. Okay. So now what's going on here? He doesn't like this. Why? Oh, because you just didn't put in the rest of the stuff. So the string is input buffer. And I don't give a fuck options. Okay, so I have to return a thing. So let's return nothing for now. While we figure this out. While we figure it out. Okay. And let's just print this thing. Let's just see if this works. Yeah, that's true. Invalid format string, any. Okay. Refresh, console. Fail to start custom section. Init 19. Interesting. WASM validation offset here. So at test, this is in init 19 here. That's interesting. What the fuck? What the fuck has changed? Okay. Comment this out. Interesting. So as soon as we call this, something is falling the fuck over. So I would assume that it's this. Right? Yeah. Interesting. Failed to start custom section. I wonder what this means. That's, yeah, okay, let's go back. Oh, I seem to remember there being like limits somewhere. That maybe we have to expand. That sounds familiar. Zig build chambers. So in the ball machine that we've done before, we compiled a bunch of Zig WASM chambers, and I remember hitting something about like things getting too big. So do we do anything here? WASM exe, set WASM exe parameters, limit the stack size to keep overall required memory usage lower. Oh, this is actually backwards. That's funny. But there is some stuff in here. So we could try cranking up that stack size or something. I would have expected to not have to do that, but it seems like maybe if things are getting corrupted because we're like overflowing our stack, that's not like impossible. So can we like set this to something like really big? So 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. Like, can we just make it like really big? 512, 1K, I think it's 1 meg if we do like this. Ooh, he's really working hard. He's really working hard. Huh. Okay, that's interesting. That sucks. It kind of like puts a real damper on the whole experiment. If I can't figure out how to get this thing to fucking build. Zig build, optimize, release small. Let's see if that changes anything. Oh, he's also building the native shit. Can we just not do that? For now. I just literally want, like, WASM shit. Just to see if that changes anything. If, like, all the debug stuff is, like, making it too big or something. Okay. So that's promising. Turning on some optimizations did help. And if I, like, don't do that stack size overwrite, are we still chill? Okay, we'll start here, and then we'll come back later. So let's see if we try to print that shit, if that still works. Bad sign. Bad sign. This should be running. Can we do a print internal hi mom? Let's just see how fucked we are. Okay, so that's happening. What about after? Only once. Only once, so maybe that, like, build release small could be... It's hard to know if it's, like... Maybe it's because this catch, we have to, like, log the error as well. So we can say, like, this... I guess we could do catch unreachable and hit the panic handler. Which doesn't happen in release small. So let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. Unknown field. There we go. Okay, so now we can say ignore unknown fields, please. Does the input buffer look okay? Not sure. It looks like we are printing something here that is somewhat sane. Somewhat sane, which is nice. Okay, so we have parsed some ingredients. We didn't get to print the whole thing because our print buffer is kind of maxed at 4K. I think if we expand this a little bit, we should see the whole shebang. Nice. Nice. Okay. So, let's just do like something that's like make ingredient link. So this is going to take in an ingredient. And he's going to return I guess it would be nice to just put this into a writer. So maybe we have like a HTML writer, right? And he has got an inner, which is going to be some like actual writer. So maybe this becomes like a function HTML writer that takes in a writer type and returns a type and then wraps this thing. Yeah. Yeah, and then all we have to do is like make a little function to make this thing, which is like writer is any type, and returns an HTML writer with type of writer. Boom. Boom. Okay. So then here on this writer, we're gonna have like write ingredient. This is gonna take itself as a self. Self is like this. Like this. And I guess this thing can fail. And he's gonna be like self. We can use taking the ingredient, of course. And he's just gonna be like write all print maybe. And this is gonna be like a link. Href is equal to some link, right? And then he's gonna put in some content to this thing and close the link, right? So here we need the ingredient link and ingredient not name, and then probably, you know, we should do something like this, HTML escape. I don't want to do this right now, but if we say that we plan on doing it, at least then we can implement it later, right? Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so what does ingredient link look like here? I guess it's like a link to ingredient.html ID is equal to, you know, the ingredient ID. And I think that's it. So std format buff print here, I guess. And he's gonna go into some buffer, you know, link buff, I guess is the way to call this. And we pass in ingredient.id here. Easy. Easy. And then we have like var buff is, you know, link buff like this. Okay. So now, I guess that means that here we want to like make our writer with some output buffer, right? So I guess it's kind of like a std array list. And I guess this thing is like, again, a global, right? Because the scope of this variable is like, we need the data in it to stay valid when we return. But we don't necessarily, like, we don't need to keep it between calls, right? Since everything in this WASM module is going to be happening in one JavaScript thread, I assume, then we can just kind of have like var output buff is a thing, I guess. Right? And I think that we can't just like, I think we need to be actually do it like this. This guy has to be optional because he has to be initialized at runtime, which means that we need like a get output buff, right? Which will return a array list directly, a pointer to an array list. And here we're going to be like, if output buff is equal to null, we initialize him. Yep. Okay. Then we just return output buff pointer. Boom. Okay. Cool. So now we can be like here, get output buff writer. Boom. Huge for us. And we can just go like for each ingredient. We can go like writer, write ingredient of the ingredient. No? And then this guy doesn't return shit. Unmanaged array list might be easier to work with. I don't think so. Because I don't really ever want to think about the WASM allocator again, I think. We should do, like... we should do actually this, though. Maybe do this. global struct like this. Probably the input buff should live here too, just to avoid name collision. Okay. Get output buff. There, now I can do this. And then we go output buff clear, retaining capacity probably. That way it wouldn't need to be optional. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, can you promote it that way? I see what you're saying. Like, can you do this? To managed. Does this, like, consume it? Yeah, it's not really what I want, right? Because yeah, I'd prefer to not. I think this is fine. I'd prefer this way. Because, like, I don't want to think about it everywhere else. You know what I mean? I guess. Yeah, I think it's fine. It would be nice if there was, like, as managed, right? Instead of to managed. Because when you go, like, to managed and then you edit it, it doesn't edit the original unmanaged one. So I think this is better. This is fine. Okay. This needs... Oh, this needs to be managed again. Okay. And then... So we... don't need to return shit now. Okay. We're getting close. Just do this. And then what we have to do is we have to, like, have a get output buff. I guess, pub export function get return get output size or something, and get output pointer. Okay. So this is like global output buff items len. And this is output buff items pointer. Right? What's he mad about? Fine. Okay, so now from JavaScript land, we should be able to be like response len or output len is wasm obj instance exports get output len. Output pointer is output pointer, and then output buff is a, you know, this thing, but from output pointer and output len. And then can we, how do we like assign this into some HTML? Let's just start by like doing a little text decoder. So decoder, decode, output buff, and then can we log that? Okay. Unlucky. So release small. We have to build release small. Get output len is not a function. Okay, what do we call it? Get output size. True. True. Okay, that's looking promising. Looking promising. So can we then feed this into somewhere, right? So I guess it's like elem inner HTML is equal to s. Oh, dude, wait, let's fucking go. Let's go, dude. Wait, that's hype. We're getting somewhere. Okay, so things that need to be addressed. Do we want to specify a target like an HTMX? Maybe. Let's try to make this thing a little bit prettier. So let's do a in our ingredient or WASM test page. I guess we kind of need to do some conversions here. So first, let's sort the ingredients by name. Ingredient parsed value, and then context is null or void, and then the function is a less than function that does something, right? But we don't remember what yet. But it will tell us, I'm sure. So he wants this type. So this is A and B. Okay. And is there like std mem sort? Is there like a zig string sort? Or do I have to do this by hand? Yeah, we just have to do it by hand, huh? We do just have to do it by hand, so it's like, what the fuck is boost? String hash map? Dude, what a funny way of doing that. Oh, std mem order. Wait, man, that's fine. Compares two slices. Yeah, that's what I want. Isn't it just this? Yeah. Nice. So if I build this now and refresh, this is, I think, sorted. And then here we want to like do a little write br. Try self inner write all br. Right? Unhappy? Oh, probably because this again. Where's my BRs? Oh, I guess I have to call that function. You have to call the functions you write. I always forget that part. Oh, that's so big for us, dude. That's awesome. That's sick. Everything just kind of works, no? And okay, we also wanted to color these things based off if they're fully defined. So in our ingredient, or in our, what's it called? Test HTML. We have a style sheet from common. And if we look at that thing, I think we have like just an attribute that we put for incomplete links. Yeah. So if, I guess that goes here. In write ingredient, we go, it's kind of like this now. So we write the first half of the tag. Wait, is this wrong? No, this is right. Okay, so we write the start part. Like this. Then the rest of it. And if, you know, ingredient fully complete, fully entered, I think is what we called it. If it's not fully entered, we do something else. So we do like print class is equal to incomplete link. And I think that we can probably, what we're gonna end up doing is making like a little helper for HTML serialization that's a little nicer than this. But for now, this should do the right thing. Is link buff really necessary? You could do it as like separate parts, yeah. You could do like write all you could like you could do like a partial print or whatever, but I'm not doing that right now. Sick. Wait, that's actually sick. So fries not fully entered. This stuff is fully entered. That's awesome. Yeah, that's hype. That's fucking sick. Okay, so I guess that means that we kind of did this, and we did this as well. And is there like a more complex page that we can try to enter as well? Let's look around for something. I guess probably the ingredient entry page is the easiest, is like the next one up. So this guy's a little bit more advanced. He has some buttons that actually send stuff to the server, which is interesting, as well as like some more like dynamic stuff. So when I like edit this, this actually changes the value on the server, right? So if I go like network here, you know, this does a put on this guy. So we should think about this a little bit, but I guess let's just start by making the page and figuring it out from there. Okay. So test HTML. We copy this to test2 HTML. And what's kind of nice here is test.html actually had no like independent JavaScript. We did manage to like fulfill our goal of doing everything by just like stitching together WASM with this generic library. So test2.html should hopefully live in like the same world, right? So he's gonna be say, I have what does the original look like? It's got like a title. So this is going to this title. We won't do the edit here yet, because I remember that being actually maybe it's fine. Maybe we'll just do the title. How about that? So this is an input. And we're just gonna copy all of this, I guess. Copy outer HTML. Okay. So we might not need an ID. We'll see how that goes. And can we add some like CSSR get of okay, this is more interesting because everything in like a lot of things in this page, almost everything that's generated comes from a single request. So we probably want to generate as much as we can from that single request, or we like reparse the thing several times. Okay, let me think. So like in my mind, ideally, we have like kind of the static content of the page kind of like lives here in the HTML, not generated. That's kind of like my ideal world, I think. Which makes me think, so in this page, what happens? We do like one request to the ingredient page. We get all of the info in the form of like a JSON blob, right? He comes back, he's got all of this stuff associated with him. Things like the serving sizes and the name, right? And then we kind of like split that up into separate areas, right? So I kind of feel like we have like ID here is title. Okay. And then like here we have like serving info. So maybe we have like H2 serving info. And then like a div here to put the stuff. Right? Maybe even less than that. We know that we're going to be these three every time, right? So maybe we do something that's like, can we just copy? I just want to copy like this whole segment if we can. What does that look like? Yeah, can I just copy this? Yes. So this guy he has IDs for all these things, which is perfect. And I guess what we want to do is on body, on the entire body, do a CSSR get. Ooh. This is interesting too, because the URL that we are getting from depends on the query parameter here, right? We have ID is equal to 5. So maybe we have to get a little bit crazy here. Maybe. We might do something like just insert a little bit, just a teeny weeny bit of JavaScript. Maybe just do it inline, right? To do this. You know? And, you know, just a little bit. And then he can just do, like, if this comes first, then we can attach that attribute to the body. Why is this broken? Add attribute JavaScript. Set attribute. And we set it to ingredients plus ingredient ID, right? That seems kind of reasonable to me. And then we have this generate is, you know, make ingredient content, right? And then we can put a note here. CSSR get is dynamic and injected by JS above. That seems reasonable to me. No? It seems kind of nice. It's a little bit of JavaScript, but it's a manageable amount of JavaScript. So let's see what happens now if we call test2 HTML. Oh, test2 HTML. My bad. Set attribute cannot access document body is null. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So we might have to do, like, defer on both of these. Or maybe not. Can you not, like... What about supporting query params in CSSR get and parsing it yourself? I think I'd rather not. Why is this not doing what I want it to be doing? Maybe body doesn't support attributes? Like, am I high? Is this what I think it is? Null. Document body is null. So I guess, like, this hasn't been loaded yet. That makes sense because this is in the head. But if I put defer here, it's still null. The fuck? Document body is null. Yeah, so I guess here we go, like, window on load is equal to this. Okay. Close. Okay. And then... why does this not do what I want now? Oops. This guy is not doing what I want. Can use different script tag, but that wasn't working. So I don't know why that wasn't working, but it wasn't. Why is this null? Because I just didn't do that part. That would do it. Okay. Cool. Cool. So this is reasonable, I guess. As long as this gets added first before this, then we're chilling, which I think seems to be the way it's going. Okay, so we don't have that function yet. So the question now becomes, it seems reasonable to make like a different WASM page. Hello. For every page, right? I think that's reasonable. So can we go like this is going to be called ingredient. And he's going to come from ingredient. Probably like source WASM ingredients or something, right? Probably something like that. Touch make dir source WASM or something, and source WASM ingredient zig. So what does this need to share with like test.zig, right? Or sorry, WASM test.zig? Right, there's like some things in here that we kind of want like common to all of these modules, which is kind of interesting. I guess that means that we have like source WASM common zig, and we just put those functions here, right? So we have like const common is equal to import common zig, and then hopefully if we put this stuff in there, you know, it just kind of works. Oopsies. You know, I don't really know if this stuff will get auto exported that way, but I would love if it did. And is that it? No, we have like this like input buffer and output buffer stuff also that this all wants to, you know, every single one of these guys should be kind of working the same way here. Okay. So can we change this? Let's change our existing one. And just start deleting all of this stuff and just see how that goes. So I think, did we lose the input buffer stuff? Yeah, this stuff has to go here as well. Okay. So now, probably this guy's gonna be complaining that, like, global needs to come from common. Probably here, we need to call common, common, common. But otherwise, is he chilling? Oopsies. Let's see. Input buffer is not marked pub. True, huh? Just let that shit fly. And then let's get rid of ingredient temporarily while we check if making this common thing did what I expect. Okay, so refreshing, it does seem to still work, which is really hype. Can we make a change just to make sure? Hi, Mom. Here, just like, you know, make sure that we're running what we think we're running. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so moving all this stuff into common, that was easy. Easy peasy. So, let's bring back ingredient. And so here, all we have to do is just import common. And then make our function. Right, which is what? Test2 HTML, we called it make ingredient content. Right? Common print internal. Hello. Let's just see where this goes. see where he goes. So hopefully when we go to test to HTML query ID equals 10 or something, we should see a hello in there, which we don't see. Which we do not see. Maybe we spelled it wrong. That's a very real option. Oh, also, we might have given him the wrong WASM module here, right? Because somewhere here, we say, we actually want to come from ingredient WASM now. Okay, nice. So we got hello here. So that's good. So now, all we should have to do is, like, make the ingredient content. So what's interesting here is we need to inject information into all of these input boxes, right? So I think that means either these get 3 independent functions that are like stitched together in some way, 4 independent functions that are stitched together in some way, or we support returning multiple values from this guy. And I think returning multiple values seems more reasonable. Right? Like, the idea that we're going, like, the Zig function defines, hey, I want to inject this content into this element is, like, totally reasonable, right? So maybe this output buffer is, like, of a more complex form. Maybe output buffer is a packed structure. Output elem. And he is going to have, like, the tag or something? Tag. No, this is just like element. Yeah. And content. Okay. Now, this stuff cannot be easily this cannot be, like, parsed from, this cannot be parsed from JavaScript, right? So what could be, though, is probably, like, null terminated strings. What is pub export? It just means, like, hey, could you, like, make this conform to the, like, standard ABI of the system, as well as, like, make it available from external linking? And then we're done with the controller project. What happened with it? The plan as of right now is still to go back to it at some point. However, every day that goes by, that seems less likely. I thought that this, like, ingredient or this, like, meal tracker would take, like, a week, and it didn't. So we'll see if I go back to it after. But it didn't. We didn't finish it. As per usual. Okay, so this. So then here, this guy gets output elem here, right? And how do we make this thing? It means that, like, this output buffer, it still makes sense for us to just, like, serialize HTML in here, I think. Right, we just have, like, some global buffer where we put stuff, and then we, like, clear it out later. So I almost want to do, like, content buff here. And then we can just, like, put shit in there if we want. And then we have, like, get content buff gives me this, and get output buff is instead this output elem thing. Yeah. Okay. That seems like maybe doable. Um, and this can be a pointer cast here. And this should be time size of, maybe? Okay. Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah. So now we serialize the content into the content buffer. And for each thing that we serialize, we say, please replace this ID with that thing. That seems reasonable. Right? Right? I guess we did this at some point. Okay. And then we can parse this because we can just say, hey, this is a U16. And we can, like, this will have, like, a defined structure. Yeah, U64, I guess. Okay. So can we fuck the other page? Let's, yeah. Let's fuck the other page and just make the ingredient page work for now. We'll figure out the rest after. So give him a sec. He's compiling the build script again. What kind of client are you writing the server-side rendering for? It's like, no, it's like the web client is the server and the server-side rendering, which is like kind of just client-side rendering, but also it's like kind of distinct from client-side rendering, which is why the title is funny. Because we're kind of using like WASM as the server for server-side rendering on the client, which is on the client. Okay. So let's start by trying to extract the title. Right? We're just going to inject into the title. We could probably share this type definition, but whatever. Here we're going to be like, yeah, we should put a fix me. Share with ingredients page. But for now, we just do this. And we can kind of take a page of this guy's book where we have function try make ingredient content. He parses this thing as a list of ingredients. And let's start with a common print internal of this thing just to make sure that we've got it. Okay. Probably here we log the error, right? As a string. Okay. Okay, where are we at? Unexpected token. Interesting. What the fuck is this? What the fuck? Input buffer. Input buffer is this stuff. So what's his problem? Oh, this is not a bunch of ingredients. This is a single ingredient. Of course, this is a different page. Okay, so we have our ingredient. We got its name. Hype. And okay, so we get our content buff. And we can like start writing stuff into this thing, I guess. And I guess we just write the name, I guess. So for each ingredient, there is no for here. It's literally just like the ingredient.name needs to go as the target. Like we're replacing the content in that ID. So we have like output buff here. And I guess it's like output buff append. Name here. Content. And the LMID is something else. Yeah. So this is like dude, am I high? Like name ID is gonna be from the HTML, I guess. What the fuck do you mean by client-side, server-side rendering, by the way, mate? Doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, so the explanation is, we're doing something that is kind of like server-side rendering. Like if you used HTMX and you asked the server to make your HTML for you and did like a swap on something to like inject that content into the DOM at some point without really writing much JavaScript, that's like kind of server-side rendering, right? And we're kind of saying like, I like that concept, but I want to do it client-side. And you're like, that's just client-side rendering, except that we are using WASM as like the server in this case. So it's like kind of like, you've got like kind of like the same concepts that you would use in server-side rendering, but you're doing it client-side. So it's like client-side, server-side rendering. It's a joke, you know? But also like not really that untrue. Basically, he hates writing JavaScript. I do hate writing JavaScript. Okay, so this guy has ID title, right? So I guess this is like title. And I think that really what we should be doing here is we should actually be, we should be packing it kind of like this. Just very explicitly like this. Okay. And then can I like, I guess this is like a 128. I wonder if this works the way I think it does. It might. It might. So then here we have like name ID pointer, which is static. Name ID len here. Then content len is equal parsed value name len. Okay. Now we can't do this because this memory is going to be deinitted after this call. So we need to copy the name into the content. So name, we do like content buff append slice of parsed value name. So now this is stored somewhere. And name offs is this. Yep. We're getting somewhere. Content buff items len. We're gonna need this will have to get cleaned up later in you know, we're gonna have to have some sort of like nicer way to interact with this content buffer to make things easier, but for now this will work. So the content is name content buff items pointer plus name offset, and we can still use the name length here. That's looking pretty good, I think. He's mad about some stuff. I guess it's kind of like this. Okay, so this guy wants to be a multi-element pointer. This guy also wants to be a multi-element pointer. Okay, and then we need to try here. Okay. That's not like 100% going to be incorrect. There's like a chance this does what I want it to do. What the fuck? Oh, so we've swapped the body. So the client side, server side rendering JavaScript he just assumes that the thing he gets back should be a swap, which is no longer true anymore, right? We are iterating over these guys. So we're kind of like going like, can we just like log the output buffer here? So we should see 4 bytes pointer, 4 bytes length, 4 bytes pointer, 4 bytes length again. So we have a 13-byte length string for this element at this 4-byte offset. Then this is going to be the offset of the ID. This is the pointer to the title with a 5-byte length. Okay, so we want to do like, we need to do a array view. This is like a uint32 array actually. And is this in like units of bytes? Can we do like output buff 32 is a new uint32 array backed by output buff? Is that like a thing that we're allowed to do? Let's see. No, we need to do like an array view uint8 or something. I want this to like, is there like array view JavaScript maybe is what I'm looking for? Data view? Maybe this is what I want. Cast uint8 array to uint32 array JavaScript. That's really the ideal here. Oh, you just look at like the insides? Okay, so here, byte offset and byte length over 4. Yeah, okay. Okay. Sure, so we just cast this to a uint32 array directly. So we have the byte offset, and then this is over 4. Fine. Fine, we'll do some manual managed memory. So now we have pointer length, hype. And so now we should go like 4, let I equals 0, I is less than output buff length over 4, because there's 4 elements per thing, I plus, we say, this is the ID pointer, is the first thing, which is output buff I times 4. ID length is this plus 1. Yeah, we're getting close. Oopsies. I guess we could do it like this too. I plus equals 4. And then we just have like I plus 1, I plus 2. Yep. Okay. Content pointer and content length is like this. Nice. Okay. Okay. And then we can go like const ID is equal to a uint8 array from this thing. Can we just like do like get wasm string, wasm obj pointer len? Just kind of like do this all at once. Which is like, you extract a uint8 array from this pointer with this length. And then you use your text decoder to decode it. Okay. Cool. Cool. And then here it's like, get wasm string of wasm obj ID pointer ID len, and the content is content pointer and content length. And then I guess let's just console log the ID here. Let's just see what spits out. Yep, okay, very good. Very good. So we now have title cherry tomato coming out of this thing. So we can now inject into that thing, right? So we can say like document get element by ID, inner HTML is equal to content. And so now we should, this like lets us support replacing many things at once. So this didn't do what I fucking wanted. Why the fuck not? Because here, fuck. So the input needs like a value. We need to like set the value attribute, not the inner HTML. Fuck. So that means we either need to replace the whole input element, which would be fine. That's not crazy. Or we need to support setting attributes on things based off what we return. So we could do something like this, right? We could go, we could make it so we have like a target, right? And this is like, you know, enum u8 or something, right? Probably u32 keeps things consistent. And this guy could have like value attribute and inner HTML, right? So now here we can say target is value attribute. And here we can like parse the target in JSON or JavaScript land. Right? Hello? What the fuck just happened? Redo everything. Okay, here we go. Then, depending on the target, node is this. If we get 1 or 0, this is value attribute, I think. Inner HTML is 0. So this is like node inner HTML equals content. And then if we see like case 1, we have value attribute, right? That's not crazy. Oh, let's fucking go, baby. Let's go. Okay, so now in our ingredient Zig, we should just be able to start like putting all the other stuff that we want, right? So on all of these serving info things, we have like serving size G is serving size G, right? And we can kind of just do the same fucking thing here, where we have like serving size GID, serving size GID len. Then we need like we do like something like this, where we like take the value of serving size G, right? Which is a, I mean, we could just take like this, right? And then we just like inject those into the place in the DOM we care about. That's not crazy. Not crazy. Right? So here we go. We're still working for the value attribute. We get the serving size G offset here. We copy the serving size G in there, and then we say, please set that stuff here. This is like, again, it's very obvious here that you know, this stuff needs to get cleaned up in a way that's easier to use, which is very doable. I just want to see if like the idea works right now. Okay, so that's not good. What did we fuck up here? Unexpected token. Serving size G, serving size, maybe we got this wrong. Serving size ML, serving size G. Let's just do it like this. We have to build again. Out of range index. Unexpected token. Unexpected token. Okay, let's just get down here. Let's undo all of these changes for a second. Refresh. We're happy. So if I added serving size G as a const U8. Oh, he's probably mad because it actually comes in as a number, huh? It's probably because it comes in like this. Yeah. So what we actually have to do is we have like this. This is a little silly, but it's fine. Right? It's fine. So what we actually have to do is we have to do content writer write int print the number as serving size parse value, convert it back into a string. That's kind of funny. That's pretty funny. But it will do what I want, I think. Can I like get... This is stupid. This is stupid. There's a better way to do this. But again, we're hacking. Empty string passed to get element by ID. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So can we look at what he's trying to do now on client side CSS R here? So can we console log ID and content here? Okay. That's not good. That looks like a bug, huh? Can we... It might be that the packed struct has changed now. U1 28 plus 32 160 32 50 60. Okay. So interesting, like title cherry tomato still works fine, right? So the question is, I guess, are these pointers broken? It could also be that like our stack is running out of size. There's all sorts of things that could like fuck this shit up. Can we look at output buff here? What are we looking at? So this guy is 12 long, which I think is unexpected. I think this is unexpected. 1, 2, because we should have 2 returned things that are 5 long, right? Pointer length, tag. That it's padded. Okay. So we should ask probably the, we need, elem size. Right, so this is going to return size of output elem, and this will tell us how much to advance our pointer every time. Right, so we need to do something like this. And we'll call this like output elem size. And we divide this by 4. And then here it's like output elem size, and let's just make sure this is the right thing. Okay. So this is 6 now, and now this is working correctly. So we had some alignment issues, but this is hype. This is hype. So now I've got the 100 grams here and the cherry tomato here. I would like to now try something a little bit more advanced, right? So we need to make it so that when this is modified, something happens, right? So ingredient HTML, or sorry, test2.html, my bad. It's probably like on this input, we want to do some sort of like something that says, hey, automatically do a put of this thing somewhere. When this changes, we like put the value somewhere. And then the response, I guess there's no like response to handle in this case. In some cases, we might put something and then like ask the WASM to generate a new blob, like an HTML thing for us. But in this case, I don't think so. I think it's just that this guy is going to put on ingredients ID. And this is going to come up a lot of times. So I think that whoever said maybe you should support injecting IDs, that would be nice. It would be nice. I just don't know how to like make that happen. So I'm just going to do this instead. We're going to go like I guess we can just do this. Serving size G set attribute. I mean, maybe it's just like this. Honestly, we don't have to get too crazy. It is kind of nice to do it this way, I think. No, there's something still lame here. Yeah, I don't know what I want here. On put, it would be nice to be able to fully define the put behavior from the HTML. So it's almost like here you need like param is like, maybe that goes here. You know what I mean? And this is like this. So he puts on this thing with this field, and then we could put like here as well. You know, if this needed to generate some new stuff, we would have like some WASM function that like parses the response in some way. Not crazy. Not crazy. Let's start here. Let's just start here. So this becomes like handle CSSR getters gets like all of this stuff. Okay. CSSR. 3 S's. Hard to remember. And then I guess we have putters as well. putters. And so how's this going to be different? We have everyone who has a put on them. We iterate over these things. We get the put. And I guess it's just like lm on input. What do we do in ingredients.js? Yeah, it's on input. And it would be great. I guess we have this thing almost fully defined, right? We have CSSR URL. No. Hold on. Hold on. We got... Oops, it's a test 2. I keep forgetting. Put param. As well as the put URL. Yeah, so it's put param. Param field. But even this isn't enough, right? Because we actually have to send something of the form like ID thing. You know, ID, value, like serving size G, serving size, right? So like we need to like construct this string somehow. And you know, it sounds like generation of this string is like gonna be kind of custom. Right? So like it seems like maybe if we're trying to move everything into WASMland, constructing this JSON blob in WASMland is not like crazy. Not insane, right? So it might actually be that in here, sorry, maybe we support like you know, like send a put. And then the content looks like a little different. Maybe. Right, you could have like a union here that has like target first, then a union, and then he could like inject that put. But what happens if after the put, you need to handle something? So it means that you need like a put elem. And on here, we have like the target, like the URL, right? Like this. Right? And then you have the URL callback. So the name of the function that we want to call, you know, after. Maybe this is just a function pointer. You might be able to get away with that. Not sure. Not sure. And body. Right? Oops, this is a usize. Here and here. Right? That's not crazy. So then we can say, call this thing, and when you are finished, tell me about it. Then, from here, we can say, hey, this is not a thing. I guess this just gets handled on initialization then? No. So we have like CSSR on change maybe? Okay. And this calls like serving size G. changed. Okay, so we call this function, and he determines how we will interact with the server. Yeah, that's not crazy. Not crazy. So now this guy needs to get definitely more advanced, right? So output element becomes a structure that has a target and then a union. Extern union, I think. That has like you know, like replacement. That's this stuff. Or put request. You know? Okay, he doesn't like this for some reason. Packed union? That's a maybe. That's a maybe. So we need to like adjust the existing stuff here. So that surely this is gonna like start falling over, right? Because now in ingredient, zig, this guy, all of these guys need to be like target is this and data is replacement. Right? I think it's like this. Yep. And this is the same. Okay. Okay, yup. That's getting us somewhere. Then in our this guy, when he needs to be a little bit more intelligent about this. So he gets the target at I. And then we probably have like a function that's like parse replacement. You know, something. So this is probably going to be like replacement. And that's kind of like this stuff. Not sure. Probably like this, actually. Yeah. I'm thinking. No, this is Wasimov chair. Right, because then we return the ID and the content like this. Yep. Yes, okay. So now this guy is like, if we are 0 or 1, we parse replacement. Yup. And this is like output buff. It's not slice. It's like subarray of I plus 1 to I plus 4. Yes. Okay, we're getting close. Does this stuff need to be scoped for this stuff not to get mad? I think so. It's like C-like. That way? Okay. So now when I refresh, how fucking broken are we? I guess we have to build this shit first. Refresh. Surprisingly not that broken. Well, no, we're broken. Okay, there we go. So I is not defined. True, huh? So this is just a 0, 1, 2, 3 now. WASM target is not defined. Oh, let's get this out of the way. Okay. Close. This thing has a bunch of trailing garbage on there, so that's not good. So it looks like the format here is... Okay, let's look at the ID and the content now. Console log. Console log ID content. Title, cherry tomato, blah, 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 right? So this content thing is now no good. Content length here is not good. So can we look at here? What the fuck is going on? This is wrong. Probably we have an off by 1 error here. Much better. Okay, so we're back. We're back. But now we have case 2. That does something. I don't know what yet. I don't know what yet. This is going to be like put request. Okay. I'm thinking for a sec. I guess that means that like handles this probably like run. There's probably like function, you know, handle generator output, which is probably gonna do the vast majority of this thing. So this guy sets up the inputs. It's all of this stuff down here gets moved out. Right? Okay. So all of this stuff is like handling a generator output. And now this function is very similar to CSS putters, or what did we call it? It was in test 2. We made a new thing. It says on change. On change. Okay. So here, what we want to do is we want to iterate everybody who has a CSSR on change. I think output elem size is here now. And we look for CSSR on change. We have WASM target is just here. There's no fetching or anything to do. It's literally just like call the fucking function. And we don't have to set an input buffer. It's like literally just like give me what you got. And then we call handle generator output. I think. Right? So now, except we don't call this thing directly. We actually want to do this. We want to assign this to their on change. Right? Kind of like this. So what we should see now is that if we were to look at ingredient zig, we should now have a function that we want to hook up to the on change thing. So serving size g change is what we called it. And for now, let's just print internal and say hello, like it changed, right? Common print internal. and also clear the output buff. Okay, so if we do this, it should end up being like nothing happens, but we see the log it changed. That's kind of the ideal here. So I click on this. We do see it change. That's really good. So we've hooked up like some sort of like WASM callback to this guy being modified. It's obviously broken because instance on WASM object is undefined. That's weird. What the fuck? It's right here. Hello? Oh. Fine. Asshole. Oh, fucking pass parameter is the function that I want to call. Okay, nice. Nice! Nice, 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 nice. So, say now that we have like a put request here. Oh, shit. This guy needs the value, no? He needs to know... He needs to know the value from the box. So it means here we need to put something in the input buffer. Right, we need to do like we need to allocate the input buffer with the serialized content. So we want to do like encoder is a new text encoder. We do like encoder dot encode into encode. We'll just do a straight encode. That's fine. Of lm dot value. And then we allocate the input buffer to be encoded length, byte length, same shit, but whatever. We get the input buffer and we say we get the input. We set it to encoded. Then we call the function. Nice. So then we can say in ingredient zig here we can parse serving size g changed. Okay, here we go. Try serving size g changed, catch, return. Yeah, return. Okay, so here we parse the input buffer, which is just a std format parse int. Yes, from common get like input buffer, global input buffer. Nice. Using Ajax or called by something else in Zig. I think that we'll do like Ajax in JavaScript. I think. I don't really know yet. We're feeling it out. We're feeling it out. So we parse this thing as a i64 or something. With probably undefined base. This is this, new size. And it should just be like we return something simple, right? So we do like clear the output. That's the first thing we have to do. And all we have to do probably is like output buff is this. Content buff, I should say. Okay, we get the content buff. We clear that shit. There's nothing. We don't have any content anymore. This is a new call. And we do like you know, value writer is the like content writer. And can we do like stood JSON stringify something into that thing? Right, we can have like ingredient modify who has like an ID and you know, serving size grams. Right? And we can like put that thing in there, right? We can go like stood JSON stringify a ingredient modification with serving size grams is the new size and the ID is the ingredient ID, where the ingredient comes from our global cache of an ingredient, maybe? You know? Which comes from the here? You know what I mean? Right, so here we know what the ingredient is, so we can go like, which means that actually here, this stuff is parse from slice leaky, I think, or we have to copy it out. But this is probably fine. And this just gets shoved into the global ingredient. This is like fix me intermediate. Data needs to be freed. So more likely, you know, parse plus clone is better, but for now we can get away with this. Is using protobuf buffers or flat buffers better? Maybe. Yeah, we're kind of like not tied to JSON anymore if we're not if the browser is not the guy who is how do I say this? If he's not the guy who's in charge of, dude, my brain is melting. If he's not in charge of parsing. So maybe. That's a maybe. Which means here we don't need to use the content buffer actually, because we just have that stuff kind of in a global now. So here we can actually just use like global ingredient name pointer and global ingredient namelet. Huge. Okay. Sick. Oh, but we do need the content buffer for this stuff. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay. So now we're like here. Ingredient is global ingredient or else return error no ingredient, which shouldn't happen. We have this guy, and this is from the ingredient ID here now. Sick. This is all looking hype. Why does he not have an ID here? Ingredient is global ingredient or else. Oh. Okay, sure. So we get the ID from this guy. Okay, that's looking kind of usable. Then we need to like request something here, right? So we need to do like output buff is this. This is where all of our shit goes. And we have to append something here. So I assume this returns the string, right? No. This is the body start, I guess, is like content buff items length at this point. And I don't know what goes in here yet. target is like send a put. Rain March, thanks for the raid. What's up, you guys? What is up? You're kind of walking into some like absolute shit. But we are trying to basically do HTMX, but the server is a WASM module. So it's like local HTMX, which is kind of like client-side, server-side rendering. Isn't that fun? Anyways, I hope you guys had a good time over there. And I'm just gonna keep going because my brain is like melting. But we'll figure it out after. Okay, so this guy is requesting that we do a put to some URL, which is gonna be like ingredient. Probably like plus the ID. So this has to be like content buff, content writer, print. Okay. Which is like this, ingredient plus ID. Yeah. I wish that like this stuff returned the like range that I wrote this stuff in. Is there like some way to do that? Content buff, like print, like no. So we just need to like write a wrapper for this, I guess, is like yeah, so we want like written content. Written content is like offs and len, like this, and we want to be like write to buff with buff as, you know, an array list of U8s with the format and the args. Okay. Which is like, we get the fucking writer here. Yup. Okay. We get like start offs is buff items len, and then we like write that stuff. So we do like writer print format args, and then we return offs is start offs, and len is, you know, the current len minus start offs. Boom. So now we can go like here, we can go write to buff of the content buff with this stuff, and we have like the URL, like put URL, nice, and we have the put body like this, and this is going to be, you know, something of the form like I guess we have that here. Okay, fine. So body is, you know, content buff items pointer plus the body start. Body len is body end minus body start. Okay, we got the URL is put URL offs from content buff items pointer. Okay, and the URL length. Jesus Christ. What doesn't he like here? Fine. Fine. That's right, I do need that stuff. And then what's the other thing here? Callback. This is going to be nothing. Callback len is 0. Holy jeez. This is not trivial. Not trivial, but, you know, intermediate steps, dude. So now, when we are handling this, we should have like some put request here. And we should be able to like extract that information, right? So we have output buff. We have, I already forgot. It's in this order. URL pointer is, I guess, can we just log output buff from I+1 to I+6 or something? What the fuck is in this thing? And can we log, you know, like put request? Let's just see. So it's on change, right? Body is not defined. True. It is not. True, true, true. Okay, change this thing. Okay, so this is good. We did get a thing back. So we got tag 2, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these trailing 2 zeros are, let's look at it again. URL length, body length, callback length, and then padding. Okay? Nice. So we have const URL is get wasm string from output buff I+1 and output buff I+2. Okay, so that's the URL. Then we have body is numbers 3 and 4. And can we log the URL and body now? We forgot to put the wasm object here. Oh, that's so good, dude. Let's fucking go. Let's go. Okay. So now we should just be able to like fetch URL with this. Yeah? Which I think you can do like this. So what we're hoping to see now is that when I click this button, we do a put with a reasonable thing. Now, he's not happy. That's not good. But, okay, so we did a put on ingredients 10. I actually think this should work. So the fact that it didn't is a little confusing to me. Maybe it's the serving size G is wrong. API.zig, modify ingredient params. Oh, ID's in the URL, not in the body. Okay, so try it again. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that, motherfucker. Look at that. So we've got fucking a modifiable input. So yeah, we have this thing. We're like populating the title and this guy from the response that came from ingredient. And we then, without writing any JavaScript for this page, have wasm generating a request that is going here and is getting written to the server automatically by like the client side, server side rendering system, which is pretty sick, dude. And it shouldn't be that much work to get it to like do something that's like then, you know, you get like the response and you do like response dot bytes or whatever, and then like a then, you know, bytes, then like do like parse the callback here, you know, like this, right? And then like call the callback here, right? With just like setup buffer, call back, you know, this type shit. We're not that far from there, which is pretty fucking sick. Pretty sick. And then like theoretically, based off that response, we could like inject new content into the DOM. There's nothing like stopping us from doing that. But I'm going to call it here for today, 2 hours and 20 minutes, because I think that's like a good stopping point. We've kind of got like a little milestone, and we can continue with this tomorrow. This is pretty funny. Pretty funny. So, obvious things that need to get fixed, right? Usage in Zigland is like so shit. It's so bad. Like interacting with this like input output system, we have to add some ways to like make that easier, right? Like in reality, this output.append thing, this like disaster, should be wrapped by some sort of like nice function where we just like feed it the body and you like feed it some pointers and it like automatically puts that into whatever cached area it needs to go in. And actually, other than that, I don't know if there's any like real mega problems. We'll see. But yeah, happy with that. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like what we saw, we stream most days. We aim for 12:30 to 4 o'clock Pacific time. It's 2:45 now. Some days we don't hit, the desired target. But if you're watching live or you want to watch live, swing by in those hours, and you might see us. Some content gets posted to YouTube. This video will, but some content does not. The kind of like rule for that is basically just if I think it's something that is algorithm friendly, because unfortunately there's like momentum to the algorithm as far as I can tell, and we want to keep that guy happy. So if you want access to the rest of the content and you can't catch it live, we post to Patreon and YouTube members and under like Twitch VODs if you sub. We do that because it gives us an excuse to give something to people who want to support the stream in some way. Because money is going down, and when I run out of money, I have to get a job. So if you want to see this content continue by supporting, you are like directly extending the lifetime of the stream by some amount, right? So please consider. Obviously, no pressure. This is a pretty fun idea. I'm happy with it. Thanks for watching. YouTube, peace out, and Twitch was fun. Someone to raid.